We are now through 11 weeks of the NFL season. The NFL MVP race discussion is starting to pick up steam. These are the top 3 candidates listed on virtually every sports book, and I'm not so sure any of these guys should be considered the favorite. Let's have a chat. Listed at plus 250 right now is Jalen Hurts. I'd say the 2 biggest things he has going for him right now are the fact that he's 9-1 and having the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 9. However, he's 13th in the NFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns, has the 4th most interceptions, 6th in QBR, 11th in passer rate, and doesn't even have the most total QB touchdowns, which belongs to Josh Allen. In addition, his team is super stacked. This just doesn't have the feel of an MVP year. Number 2 in MVP odds is Lamar Jackson, being at plus 330. This was even my MVP pick before the season, but it still feels wrong. He's 20th in the league in passing yards per game, only has 12 passing touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a ton of picks. He has a pretty good passer rating there at 6th in the NFL, and he's also 9th in the NFL in QBR. He does lead the league in rush yards for a quarterback, but it doesn't feel like it's just been that crazy dominating year. Third, we have Patrick Mahomes at plus 380 odds. We'll see if he can catch up in the MVP race. Yes, I know, like for basketball, LeBron should always be in the MVP race because he's a very valuable player. And yeah, he has really good stats, but he leads the league in virtually no category. For a Mahomes level player, this does not seem like an MVP year. I think it's wrong that these 3 guys are the top 3, so let's look into some of the guys who should actually be higher up on the list. My number 1 MVP candidate this year would be Tyreek Hill. He's 1st in receiving yards, 1st in receiving touchdowns, and 2nd in the NFL in reception. He's on pace for 2,077 receiving yards, which would literally set the NFL record. He's simply having one of the greatest years for a wide receiver ever. For us to dismiss that and not even have him top 3, that right there is prime evidence of this award becoming a Who's the QB on the Best Team award. I'm going to show love to the receiver who's going to break the receiving record. It's never going to happen. I like Tua, but I think Tyreek being simply unstoppable is literally making him a top 5 quarterback. This guy should easily be a top 3, if not top 5 candidate. Or we could talk about Brock Purdy, who's number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in QBR, and has more touchdowns and less turnovers than Lamar and Mahomes. I mean, he's leading the league in metrics designed to tell if a quarterback is doing a good job. He should be talked about. My only downside to him is just, yeah, we've seen Jimmy G win there before too. So anything's possible. Yeah, I know he's going to be Rookie of the Year, but I honestly think he's having more of an MVP season than we're seeing out of Mahomes. He has a severe lack of weapons, and his running back has been hurt the entire season, yet still he's dominating. 1st in passing yards per game, 19 total touchdowns, and 5 interceptions is better than Mahomes' 19 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Plus his team's win total was set at 5 this year. Well, fellas, he sped right past that like Chris Olave on a Saturday night. It sucks because he would have had an even stronger, compelling argument if he didn't throw 3 of those 5 interceptions this weekend. 19 total touchdowns and 2 interceptions would have been a nice little argument. This is going to be the award of the best quarterback on the best team. Give it to Jared Goff. How many times have we been able to say Detroit is 8-2? If I told you that before the start of last season, you would have said you're Detroit Lion. This Goff star has turned into Tiger Hood this year. Clutch in all the right moments. Him and Mahomes stats looks pretty damn identical. Maybe some love should be shown to CMC, who scored a touchdown in every game besides 1 this entire season. And is on pace for 2,021 total yards receiving and rushing, which would be just shy of the 2,500 mark all time. Before I catch an attack, I'll go ahead and throw out Dak too. He's thrown for 13 touchdowns over the last 4 games. Has 21 total touchdowns on the season and only 6 interceptions. Dak is top 2 in QBR, passer rating, and completion rate, and I think he should be getting more love. All that to say, I've got my own NFL MVP rankings. These are your chill rankings. Number 1, Tyreek Hill. As I stated before, he's having one of the greatest wide receiver seasons of all time. Number 2, give me the quarterback who's leading the league in QBR and passer rating. Number 3, I'll take the number 1 in MVP odds, Jalen Hurts. He still contributed to 24 touchdowns this year and has a 9-1 record, so he's sitting at number 3. Next, I'll go CJ Stroud, who's taken one of the worst teams in football to a really good football team. So how about the guy who's 1st in passing yards and has made very little mistakes this year? 5th, I'll go with CMC, who has been so hard to stop. He scored a touchdown in almost every game this year. 6th, I'll go Jared Goff, who's led Detroit Lions to an 8-2 football year. Let's go. 7, I'll go the league leader for QBs and rushing yards, Lamar Jackson. Yes, he's had a pretty good year, but he's not dominating any stat categories. That's why he's at number 7 for me. Number 8, give me Patrick Mahomes, who I think has had an off year for how good he is. Yeah, I know the weapons around him are an elite, but when I look at his stats, he does nothing that really just jumps across at me. It makes me say, this is the guy this year. That's been Chill's MVP rankings. I want to know your rankings. Comment your NFL MVP rankings below and follow BYL.